and that's why mastering at home is problematic. You couldn't do something like this if you cannot hear that range, okay? In this video, I'm gonna show you how I tighten the low end of this really cool PSYTRANCE track that I mastered for Foggy Rays called Turning Test, and how I made it punchier using a combination, of course, of plugins and hardware, mostly hardware. Let's take a look at it. Hello everyone, welcome back to MixBest TV. Hope you're having a great day. Before we start, as usual, check the info box down below for my mixing courses on ProMix Academy, free plugins, special offers and discount. And if you want to support the channel, but most important, if you really want to learn how to mix and master professionally, stop wasting time with other bullshit courses out there. Click the join button down here, become a MixBest TV member, access to the already big and always growing library of start to finish mixing courses, mastering courses, special videos, and a lot more. You also get mix consultations with me via Skype or email. Let's get to the video. All right, let's jump right into it. So first of all, a couple of things on the mix. This was, first of all, a really cool track. Is gonna be out soon, so check it out. Very well produced, really good sounds. For the most part, the client just told me, just do your thing. But because I always ask if they have a reference track, in this case, he pointed me out a Lifeform ahead of us. The mix came in fairly balanced, but even not comparing to the reference, had a little too much energy in the sub range. And it was just not punchy enough, not fast enough for an EDM PSYTRANCE track like this. Everything else I enhanced the punch, and I'll show you how, but that was my goal as soon as I compared with the reference, and even just not comparing, just listening to the track, I wanted a much cleaner and punchier low end and kick drum specifically, okay? So let me play you the mix and the master.
Singular consciousness that formed an entire race of machines.
Okay, you get the idea. Please keep in mind that I matched the peak. So the difference in level that you hear is not peak level, is density, and is basically my mastering without actually pushing the track that you were listening right now, so the master, to the level that I pushed in the final print, because the difference in level would have been way too much to evaluate. Okay, so keep that in mind, but the peaks are matched. So the difference that you hear is, you know, everything that I did. You hear even from the video, the low end on the mastered version is just more punchy, more tight, and it hits you in the chest, as opposed to the slower and kind of flobby low end in comparison that the mix had that doesn't hit you that hard. There are other differences, of course, between the mix and the master. We're not gonna go through everything, but a few things, okay? So the first thing that I use on this master is the Vice EQ1, 1 dB at 100 Hertz, and 0.70 dB at 250. The 250 was slightly boxy, and then 100, it was too much in that range that I didn't really want for what I was going to do after, okay? So transparent EQ first, that's basic moves. Then to enhance the kick drum punch, this is the first trick that is interesting, okay? I like a Pro NB for this one. You can see I'm boosting here. Let me make it slightly bigger. This frequency here that is centered around 4K, okay? But it's triggered by the kick. So I have the sidechain here in free, and this is the sidechain. This is what the compressor it's triggered by. So it's around here 60, 70 Hertz. So when the kick hits, it boosts the 4K. All right, subtle, but it starts going in the direction of more punch for this kick, okay? The other thing to add to the punch is punctuate. I really like this plugin, even if it must be used very, very conservatively. And this was added most likely after my limiting stage, okay? I usually set this one up, and if I feel like the clipping and the limiting and the converter, clipping the converter is taking away too much punch, I can use this one before that stage to bring up the transient a little more, okay? And it adds some. Then we have the analog 2-bus chain, which is really where the magic happens and how this punchier low end was created, with a combination basically of cutting the sub energy that was there and then shifting the energy in a slightly higher range so the kick doesn't feel slow and floppy, but it feels punchy and it hits you in the chest, like we said, okay? I have to bypass the entire 2-bus, so there's gonna be a click. I can't just bypass on the fusion, and then I'll tell you what I have there. So this is without the 2-bus, the analog chain. Okay. The volume difference is inevitable, of course, because I have a lot going on here. So, like I said, I will post pictures, but the first processing that takes place is okay, again, the peaks are level matched. And after the analog chain, as usual, there's my various stages of clipping and limiting, both analog and digital. And this is pretty much it. It's sometimes difficult to kind of take away, from a track, whether it's top end because the client is used to hear something, very bright, even if it's objectively too bright, it's always risky. Same with the low end, if they are used to a certain amount of low end. Pay attention not to trick yourself, especially at the mastering stage, especially if you mix the track, because when you mix the track, and I'm against mastering your own stuff, but it's usually what you do. You just, a little bit of top end because that's what you do in mastering, a little bit of a bottom end because that's what you do in mastering. But no, sometimes not only less is more, but you need to gauge and assess what a track needs and according to that process. And even more important than that, you want to have a clear idea of what's this style, what kind of low end or what kind of mid-range if it's a rock track or stuff like that. So I guess this is it for this video. I hope it was useful. I hope you guys liked it. And if you did, please don't forget to leave a like. If you want to see more of this stuff and a lot more in depth, click the join button down here, become a MixBus TV member. There are many full mixing and mastering courses on the channel for members only, and more in the future. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.
Hands on my neck, hands get my throat.